Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll do my very best. Just for your committee's interest, I've been president for 3.5 years. I've been at the University of West Florida for 32 years. I grew up in Panama City, and so I'm a native West Floridian, or as close as you can get to it. I want to tell you about our area. We go from the Apalachicola River to the western border of Florida, the Perdido River. Representative Coley, I know that you're in our area and know it well, but in our whole 10 counties, we struggle to get 1 million people. The rest of Florida has the other 18 million, and we kind of have population envy, and on the other hand, we don't. But on the other, we also are in a low-income part of the state, and we even have our own time zone. So we're different. We are not Miami, we're not Jacksonville, we're not Orlando, we're everything but. And in a lot of ways, we're the old Florida, where we have Southern culture, where we have our own pace, and we have the old problems that have evolved into new problems in the rest of Florida. What the University of West Florida has with our region is a bit of a special relationship. Not that every university doesn't, but the flavor of our relationship to West Florida, or Northwest Florida, which is what it really is one of sort of an extra need. We're the only university in our entire region, and they depend on us for a lot more than just a place to get a degree. We pay closer attention to our regions and communities' needs than what I consider, extra special attention to them. So we are wanted and needed. We're worried about. They want us to grow. And our history has been one of very, very slow growth. And so my colleague here, President Bradshaw, started 11 or 12 years ago, and they've already passed us. Since I've been president, because I know that growth has many good things with it, we are on a modest growth curve. We now have 12,100 students, and we're trying to go to 15,000 by 2015. I don't know whether we'll make it, but we need to be a little bit larger. Size does matter. Another thing that the University of West Florida is doing, as you know, the regional universities were started as commuter campuses, partnered with the two-year colleges in their region and local area. We did too with what was Pensacola Junior College. But the problem is that we've sort of stayed a commuter college. And we have lots of juniors and seniors and little tiny freshmen and sophomores. And what we want to do and are striving to do is to give our students in our region more of a collegiate experience. I went to Florida State, and I had a lot of collegiate experiences here at Florida State, and I reflect on them very fondly. I want to play football at the University of West Florida, and I think that draws people into the environment. It brings the alumni together. It engages the region. And everywhere I go, they want to know, are we starting next year? And I say no, but we're on the path. But the point is that we really are moving towards a more traditional university environment, and everybody is happy about that. We've got a new master plan that'll just knock your socks off. And we're enjoying this transitioning period, really. I don't really have a lot to do with the economy. You know, we employ a lot of people and we do our part, but it's not something we can do something about. And at the University of West Florida and in Northwest Florida, we're kind of used to rolling up our shirt sleeves and helping ourselves, and it's working. Because we've had modest growth, we have a little bit more money than we've ever had before. If we hadn't had budget cuts, we'd even have more, but nothing I can do about that. So that's the kind of sort of mode or position that we at the University of West Florida are in. I will say that we are building dormitories. We would like to have 3,000 students living on our campus. We have 1,800, and we've added almost 600 rooms since I've been president. And you can tell the difference. I mean, they're coming with 18-year-old problems and 18-year-old attitudes, and actually it's kind of fun. It's kind of jazzing up the campus. Another aspect about University of West Florida is our region is very military heavy. We have Eglin Air Force Base, which is 500,000 acres, the largest military installation in this country. And we also have the Naval Air Station in Pensacola. We now, on Eglin, have the Army Rangers. We have an Air Force Base in Tyndall. So we're very military heavy, and 20% of our students are military related. So we're very sensitive to the military and do a lot of extra things for them. We just opened a vet center on campus and just kind of reached in our pocket and did it on our own nickel, and it's a very popular thing. Another thing that we've been doing at the University of West Florida is about 10 years ago, my predecessor, John Kavanaugh, will gladly describe himself as a nerd, and he got into high tech and distance learning. He put a lot of our money into it. We got ahead of that curve. Easy. Now we have 28% of our 12,000 students are completely online. 28% completely online. Of the rest, 25% of our students take some online course at any one time at the university. And in fact, we, for the first time, have been ranked by U.S. News and World Report in the top 50 distance learning programs for a university. So that's kind of the way we're doing things there. Another thing that we are doing is small class sizes. We only have 9 classrooms that hold more than 60. 9 classrooms that hold more than 60 students. I will say that we have capacity. We are the worst users of our classroom space, and we don't have to build any more classrooms. Thank you very much. We're doing fine. What we need to do is fill them, and we're working hard on that. We also are working hard on our retention of freshmen to sophomore. We've got a couple special programs designed just to keeping freshmen and just for keeping sophomores, and it's working well. Now we are up to 75% freshman to sophomore retention rate, and I know it ain't great, but it's sure a lot better than we had before, and it is increasing. Another thing that we're doing, especially since I've been president, and times have changed, is key performance indicators. I've always kind of needed to know where I was in relationship to my peers, in relationship to my aspirants, and how am I doing in relationship to the last few years. And so we've been really focusing and have developed now key performance indicators for the university, for me, for the vice presidents, and this is our second year of implementation, and we are increasingly accountable, and we kind of like it. It is interesting to know where you are. Even when you're not good, you need to know that to know what you need to work on. We also, our goals, and we'll get into KPIs and accountability issues a little bit later, sir, but we look at retention rates, we look at graduation rates, we look at licensure exams, all the standard things, but we're quantifying them. Now, the last thing is that our students used to be, not too long ago, mostly part-time. But now they're not. We have 72% of our students that are full-time now, and we were very surprised how high that number is. So the typical student at the University of West Florida is full-time. They are from the farthest western counties in our state, Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa. 60% of our students come from there. The rest of our students come from kind of all over, but it kind of is a declining frequency to the east. And we also we have many first-time in college students, and they finish and graduate in 5 to 6 years. So that's kind of the University of West Florida and where we are and what we're up to.
Thank you so much. As you have seen the topics, and one of them is STEM.
Yeah.
And you can define that as broadly as you want.
Good, because I will.
Talk about it on the underlevel, on
STEM
the
is not-
undergraduate level, and anything you might be doing at the graduate level.
I will. The thing about defining STEM, my degree is in anthropology, and I'm doing just fine. And but I want you to know that STEM, the National Science Foundation, also includes in the definition of STEM psychology, anthropology, and environmental studies. You need to hear that. And it's not just the heavy sciences, the hard sciences, as we call them. It is, as we define STEM, that's how it is. But let's just talk about what we're doing in STEM. One of the things that we're doing at the University of West Florida is trying to break silos down. Built a new science and engineering building, and thank you very much. It's great. But the nice thing about it is that there's no math floor or physics floor or computer science floor. Everybody is all mixed up, and the labs are all mixed up. And the students in the programs have to do interdisciplinary projects. And as you well know, the real world is made up of projects that are done or accomplished by teams that have different specialties. As an archaeologist, I would work with a geologist, I would work with a computer scientist, I would work with people who I don't have the expertise in, and you have to work together. So we're doing that at the undergraduate level. So that's one thing we're doing, knocking down the silos, having interdisciplinary STEM teaching and learning experiences. Another thing that we're doing is robots, unmanned vehicles, as they call them, under the water, in the air, and on the ground. And the interesting thing, or the kind of one of the neat things, is that we focus on undergraduate hands-on research experience. As a student, I love to dig. I just love to find stuff. There's nothing like it. And as a professional, that's what I did. I required students to have field experiences, and I'll tell you one thing, it really acts as a sorting mechanism. In my field, if you can't stand the heat, you need to get out of archaeology. If you can't stand kneeling down for hours on end and only touching little tiny things that are delicate, it's just not for you. And so if you're in computer science, you really need to be able to have good analytical skills. And so one of the things at University of West Florida is we kind of throw students into the kitchen early. It helps them make up their mind. Do they really want to be a chemist? Do they really want to be an archaeologist? Do they really want to be a physicist? Or is it not for them? And we try to make sure, in the STEM in particular, that they get a dose right away, because it is, as sort of the gatekeepers of the profession in our country, we need to make sure that they are not on the wrong path, or that the light goes on and by gosh, they're really on the right path. So that's another thing we're doing. And there's another issue that we're dealing with, which is a little bit different. We have a chairman of our psychology department, or actually school, got a $500,000 NSF grant to study the recruitment and retention of women faculty in the STEM disciplines. Now, I will tell you that the STEM disciplines are most difficult for women culturally. Culturally. It's not really culturally great to be good in math when you're 13, if you're a girl. It's not really politically or socially good for you to be interested in nuclear physics as a girl. And that's a cultural thing. I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong, it just depends. But what this grant is doing, it also happens on the faculty level. When you get a young woman faculty who's gone all the way through the PhD, muscled her way into physics or math or computer sciences, what does she get? She gets the low end of the stick. She doesn't get what the other guys get. And so we're studying that at the University of West Florida. Why is that? How does it work? What's going on? What are some recommendations? So that's kind of where we're going in STEM, something that we're doing. Another thing that we're doing is we, of course, are collaborating with all the businesses and government entities that are STEM related in our area. Big in government, of course, Navy, Air Force, and Army, the Gulf Power, Navy Federal, things like that. So, but then there's one other thing we're doing in STEM. There's a lot of finger pointing done in STEM. Universities, why aren't you producing more STEM? And we say, well, they don't come to us prepared, man. They can't pass math. And so instead of pointing the finger, many of our faculty have decided to try to drill down into K through 12 to deal with the problem of being 13, of being 14, no matter if you're a boy or a girl. There is something that happens when you're 13, all of you parents know, and the social pressures on what to do and what not to do are real. And when things get really hard in a course, well, I'm a girl, I can't do math, or I'm a boy and I shouldn't really like English. So what we're doing at dealing with STEM and encouraging students to go into STEM and keep an interest in STEM fields when they are young, we're doing two things I want to bring to your attention. One is something called the Best Robotics. It's a competition of robots, and it's for middle school. And I will tell you, we're the only institution in Florida that sponsors it, and it's a 6-week-long contest, and it's middle schools. And they wind up at the University of West Florida on a Saturday to do the test. They have a competition of the robots. They all have to do a certain job, like pick things up and put them down. And they bring their pet bands. They bring their cheerleading squads. It's like a football or a basketball game, but it's for robots. It's for STEM. It's for science, and it is just terrific. And so we are. I think that helps. So anyway, the second thing we're doing is something called the National Flight Academy. And Representative President, I know that you and your committee are interested and we're curious about that. We have something called the Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola, and there all these planes are hanging from the roof and all that, and they're wonderful. 1 million people come every year. But one of the spin-offs now is called the National Flight Academy, and it is for middle and high school students. It's just beginning to open now, and it is for middle and high school students, and what it really does is that it is taking students from their schools to with flight simulators, and it winds up, the capstone is they built this building that is exactly like going on an aircraft carrier. I mean, smells and sounds and bunks and the ready rooms and the computers and all the simulations. It's like being on an aircraft carrier. It moves, and so they're there for a week or two. And you all know, well, no, I'll speak for myself. I know that when I apply something, I learn it better. Instead of somebody just telling me, this is a right triangle, when I have to go out and I have to lay out a square that is really square on the ground, I have to do geometry. But I'm not thinking about geometry. I'm thinking about getting that dang thing square so I don't get in trouble. And so anyway, that's the kind of things that we're doing in STEM.